Ladies and gentlemen, gives me great pride and pleasure right now to kickstart with the afternoon's program. Please welcome with a thunderous round of applause, Mr. Kok Ping Soon, Chief Executive, GovTech, to deliver his opening address.
Testing. Thank you. Good afternoon. It's really great to see so many of you here today. And first of all, I'd like to apologize for the registration process. As a Smart Nation digital government event, I think we can do better. Yeah. But this is the tone of a lot of government events nowadays, no frills, no thrill, right? So you can see it's quite bare bone, but really, I think, thank you so much for taking time to join us today. And I already see a lot of interactions. I think many of you all know each other, and I think coming here is not just to listen to what GovTech has to say, but a great opportunity for you all to meet with old friends, to reconnect with, to meet new friends, and really for the networking. So I'm going to start today just to share with you some of the developments happening in Singapore. And I think this is really a great time. It is an exciting time for all of us here who's involved in one way or another in the Smart Nation. Just 2 days ago, you have realized that DPMTO launched a digital government blueprint, right? This is one of 3 plans under the Singapore's Smart Nation Canvas. The other 2 being the Digital Economy Framework, and the other one being the Digital Readiness Blueprint. The Digital Government Blueprint, or we would like to call it the DGB, is a statement of the government's intention and ambition to better leverage data, connectivity, and computing to build a more productive economy, as well as a society that's more responsive to the needs of our citizens and our aspirations. The DGB offers many opportunities for us to partner with the industry and the government. But for you to appreciate these opportunities, I think it is important and useful for you to understand the who, the what, and the how of the blueprint. And to do that, we have distilled the over 30-page of the Digital Government Blueprint, and I'm sure all of you have downloaded a copy. But to help you out, we have distilled that over 30-page into just 1 page, right? What I like to call a SOAP, a strategy on a page, with a very unique code to aid your recall. And a unique code to decipher the DGB is 4 numbers, right? It's 2366. It's not Friday yet, huh? Okay. So what's 2? 2 stands for the 2 principles that lies at the heart of our digital government efforts. The first is what we call digital to the core. Our ambition to be a digital government goes beyond producing, glossy new websites or shiny new ads. It is about rethinking and re-engineering the way we conduct our business to serve our citizens. It is not about turning existing paper forms into online web forms and then posting it up, but asking whether that form actually is even necessary in the first place. The second principle is what we call serve with heart. It is a reminder to all our government agencies that even as we pursue digitalization, the public service exists to serve the citizens. So DGB is about automating our processes where possible so that we can offer a personal touch where it matters. It is about using high tech to offer a high touch in a way that enriches the experience of the citizens at that point in time. What's 3? Very simple. 3 refers to the who that we are serving in the DGB. And we have 3 key stakeholders: the citizens, the business, and not forgetting the 140,000 public officers we have across the 16 ministries and close to about 100 agencies. What is 6? 6 refers to the what's in the DGB, the outcomes that we want to achieve for each of these groups. And we have 4 for the citizens and business. First, our promise is to develop and deliver digital services that are easy to use. And what is easy to use? It means services that are intuitive. It means services that are inclusive in design, that accounts for the needs of different users. And it means the accessibility is such that they can get accessible to the services anytime, anywhere, on any device. Second, our digital services should be seamless from end to end. That means transactions can be completed in a paperless, presentless manner where the need to provide information only once. And the transaction requires a signature, you'll be able to use a digital signature. And if payment is necessary, there should be e-payment options available. Number 3, our digital services have to be secure and reliable. Citizens and businesses need to have the confidence that the data they share with us is secure, and our digital services are built on high reliability infrastructure. 4th, and most importantly, I think, our digital services have to be designed and built around the needs of our citizens and not along the convenience of how we organize ourselves in the government. 5th, we need to be able to, for the public officers, the key thing for us is to promise them that we can actually build an environment where we are able to get them to be more digitally enabled. The kind of services that they get for the public service should be what that we can offer to the rest of the public servants. We should be able to equip them with tools that they can make them more productive, whether in the field or whether in the policy environment where they do some of their work. And in order for us to do that, we need to be able to train them with new set of skills. The public officers of tomorrow need to be digitally enabled and digitally confident to learn skills, for example, like digital literacy, like the ability to manipulate data. So those are the 2 promises that we have for our public officers and the 6 outcomes that we have. How are we going to do that? The final 6 refers to the how. How are we going to do that? Number 1, we are going to do that by first integrating the services of our citizens and business needs. It means taking a citizen-centric approach. It means doing service journey mapping so that we can better understand the needs of the citizens. 2, we need to strengthen our integration between policy, operations, and technology. It means that we need to be able to pull some of these things together and start to deliver the services that we have in a better way. It means we need to be able to process technologies and make a more decisive use of data science, of AI, and of Internet of Things. And third, we will develop common and interoperable and easy-to-use platforms to reduce the time and effort to introduce new digital services. We will set data standards and develop a data architecture to ensure usability of data. And fourth, we will design, build, and operate systems against cyber threats and safeguard our citizens, business, and government data. Fifth, we will equip our public officers with data literacy skills, proactively manage and deploy our ICT talent within the public service, and deepen the technical capabilities of GovTech. And finally, we'll engage our citizens and our business better to understand their needs, to co-create solutions, and to collaborate with the industry to develop new services. But all these sound very well and good, pretty abstract, even though we've tried to distill it. The question you may ask is, what does it look like if we are successful in DGB? Well, if we are successful, our daily lives ought to be more convenient, right? I mean, if the government can automate the things which are routine, then citizens like yourself can focus your time and your energy to do things that really matter to you so that the government can get out of the way. And let me try to illustrate some of these possibilities through the lives of Mr. Tan and his family in what I hope is not too distant a future. And you can see the caveat there. Huh? So Mr. Tan, who is Mr. Tan, right? So Mr. Tan is a small business owner with a thriving restaurant looking to open another outlet. Now he recalled that the last time he did it was a very tedious process, right? He had to deal with over 8 agencies and to get 14 operating licenses in order to set things up. And all this time, he has to deal with contractors, he has to deal with recruiters, and to deal with the chef, right, to actually design the new dishes. So he heard of some digital government initiatives, yeah? So he decided to go to the internet, yeah, to find out what he needs to get his restaurant going. So his search lands him on a portal that seemed to be designed just for him, setting up a business. So he breezed through the easy-to-read information, organized in a way that was intuitive to him, and is ready to start the application process. But alas, like many of us, cannot remember the SingPass password. But fortunately, he doesn't need to remember. Why? He can scan a QR code using his phone's built-in fingerprint reader, and he's able to log into the portal. And as he goes through the whole application process, he mentally prepares himself. 8 agency, 14 license, I must go and fill up all these, right? All the whole maze of forms that agencies have to deal with. But instead, he's surprised, and he's presented with only one single simple form. And most of the fields are actually already pre-filled with information from his existing business. So the whole process was such a breeze that he said, actually, did I miss something? Maybe the government set up a ministry for restaurant owner that I don't know of. Of course, we didn't do that, right? But that's not the end to Mr. Tan's experience, right? Shortly after completing his application, he's actually greeted by a chat assistant on the side asking him, may I ask if your new business is a restaurant? So Mr. Tan was a little surprised. He said, someone is reading his application so quickly? So he said, yes, it's a new business, it's a new restaurant. So the chat assistant asked, can I help you set up an inspection appointment for you to qualify for the required license? Would you like me to do that? So convenient. So Mr. Tan, of course, said yes. And then the appointment for the inspection was actually set up. And before exiting the site, and for good measure, the chat assistant congratulated him on his new business. Not bad, huh? Of course, this chat assistant is illustrative. But But when we deliver it, it's no ordinary public servant, all right? This is an AI-powered chatbot, right? That specializes in reading the new applications and smoothing the way for new business owners. So that's the story of Mr. Tan. On the other end, Mr. Tan's elderly parents are actually facing quite a different set of challenges. You know, senior Mr. Tan actually just completed a hip replacement operation, and he's actually recovering at home. So recovery, as you know, is not an easy process, right? He needs to attend weekly physiotherapy sessions. And senior Mr. Tan was worried that his son got to take time away from his thriving business in order to take care of him. Fortunately, when Mr. Senior Tan was discharged, the hospital gave him a special smartwatch. Initially, a bit skeptical, you know, of new technology, but he was won over because it was a very simple and intuitive design. And there's also automated reminders to remind him when to take his medication. So he liked that watch very much. And this watch not only reminds him to take his medication, it actually monitors his vital signs and is able to alert his friends and his family members in case of emergency, like touch wood, he fell down. So it gives his family members greater assurance that he can take care of himself and that he can lead a more independent lifestyle. What's more, senior Mr. Tan can now also book the physiotherapy sessions. So rather than making trips down to the center, he can now book tele-rehab sessions online, which enables him to do the rehab exercises at home while being monitored, by his regular therapist using a mix of video, conferencing, and wearable sensors. It saves him time and hassle of actually traveling down to the centers. So these two examples, as I said, illustrative as it may be, reinforces how the endpoint of DGB is not just about reducing the inconvenience that citizens have to interact with the government. It's about giving back the power to the citizens by empowering them to the choices so that they can live better lives. And to build this whole digital government is not just GovTech's job. The whole public service has been governized to support the digital government transformation. Each ministry has appointed what we call a Chief Digital Strategy Officer. So as you interact with agencies, you can remember, you can ask them, who is your CDSO? That will make them know that you know what we're talking about, right? So each ministry has a CDSO, and all these CDSO are being challenged to put together a digitalization plan with new operating model, new service delivery model that use data technology to optimize, to transform, and to create new services. And some of these plans are actually already in flight. Right, later this month, I think we have mentioned that before, we will be launching the Moments of Life app for families. And with this app, parents with newborns can actually register their births online and apply for the baby bonus at the same time. And parents with young children below 6 years old can now search and indicate interest for their preschool facilities using geolocation features, as well as to retrieve their child's medical appointment and immunization record in a single interface. And for good measure, receive information from HPB about some of the common symptoms of kids at that young age. And we will build on this approach to cover other key moments of our citizens' life, whether you're getting married, whether you're buying a house, whether you're starting a family, starting a business, or even aging. And we'll roll it out over time. And we've also made progress on a very important part of what we do, which is to roll out key pieces of what we call enabling national infrastructure. And one of these national infrastructure is our national digital identity. Later this year, we will launch the SingPass mobile app. So just like Mr. Tan, users will be able to log into government services by scanning a QR code and using their phone's fingerprint. No need for any more username and passwords. At the same time, what we do now is beyond the national digital identity is to roll out with MyInfo. So with MyInfo, as you know, it has an auto-complete function. More government services are now MyInfo ready, and we will roll that out. Today, about 70 over government services are already completed through MyInfo. We are also working to extend this capability to more private businesses. Banks, for example, we have managed to extend it to the banks, and banks are using it as part of their KYC. So the whole process in terms of reducing the number of days needed for opening an account has been dropped from 5 days to just 1 day. Implementing the DGB will demand a new level of agility, resilience, and security from our digital infrastructure. The Singapore government tech stack that we are doing is our effort to respond to that challenge. Comprising a cohesive ecosystem of data hubs, of platforms and common microservices, the tech stack marks a transformation in the way that we develop and deploy government applications, moving from an inflexible monolith to a composable microservices. Agencies will be able to do things because it's important for them, because they will be able to deliver their application in a much faster time, as well as lower costs. Xiao Ho will speak more about it after my presentation. The end thing here to say is that we can't do this alone within the government, right? DGB presents opportunities for us to partner with you, whether you are a tech company, whether you are a startup, a university or research institute, to co-create the solutions, to generate ideas, and to provide the services for our citizens, our businesses, and our public officers. And we're actively creating all these opportunities for tech companies and universities to really work together with the public sector agencies earlier on in the process in the innovation cycle. Some of you are probably already familiar with the InnoLead program, which matches tech companies with problem statements from public sector agencies. There's also the Ideas Portal, a whole-of-government crowdsourcing platform for agencies to collaborate with the tech community and the public to solve their challenges. We will leverage on these platforms and, if necessary, create more avenues to tap into the ingenuity, the capabilities, and the network of the industry. Last year, we supported early-stage collaborations in the area of wireless communications, in the area of computer vision, in the area of natural language processing, as well as large-scale real-time analytics. For example, there was a project that we did on the machine translation engine by the Institute for Infocom Research for the Ministry of Communications and Information. Using machine learning techniques, the engine was able to achieve faster and higher quality translations for government public communication materials than what was commonly available. And the success of this collaboration has led to interest from several parties to actually commercialize this technology. Our ICT expenditure, I'm sure you're happy to hear that, will continue to be healthy as we transform our ICT infrastructure and application. Last year, SMEs accounted for almost 2/3 of the total number of ICT contracts awarded, and we expect this trend to continue this year. But through this all, I think the transformation of GovTech since its formation 18 months ago will continue. The GovTech today is very different from the IDA of yesterday. Our business has changed. Other than providing IT project management services to our agencies, operating hosting infrastructure, and securing the government network, we now have in-house product development capabilities. As a center of excellence for ICT and smart systems, we are home to 5 capability centers in data science and AI, in sensors and IoT, application development, cybersecurity, and infrastructure. Correspondingly, I think the profile of our people have also changed. We have stepped up the recruitment of talent. We have built up a pool of technical manpower. Our product development team today is about 200, and they have among our highest engineers from Apple, from DreamWorks, FireEye, Amazon, VMware, etc. And we're actively recruiting across all our capability areas to support the implementation of the government digitalization plans. But I think what remained unchanged all these years is the reason for GovTech existence. Now, many of you know that I've just assumed this appointment about a month ago, so this is week 5 for me. And during the onboarding, I came across a paper that actually traced the history of GovTech. Many of you may already know, but it's news to me, right? That actually GovTech has its beginning 37 years ago in 1981 as a National Computer Board under Ministry of Finance. NCB was set up to implement the Civil Service Computerization Program. And over the years, it has evolved from NCB to IDA, from ownership under MOF to MCI, and now under SNDGO in PMO. So GovTech, in a way, is both new and old, right? New in that, well, we are just 18 months old as GovTech. Old in that even amidst all this change in identity, there is a continuity in purpose. And that purpose is about harnessing the power of technology to improve the lives of Singaporeans and the betterment of Singapore. So Smart Nation and digital government presents lots of opportunities. And we are building a home for Singaporeans, the young and old, not just the technologically savvy, but everyone. We want to transform our lives for the better, and together I think we have what it takes to achieve that vision, because we have the capabilities and the daring to put it all together and to make a quantum leap forward. In GovTech, we live by a motto that guides our actions. We call it think big, start small, act fast. And I hope that you will subscribe to that too. Thank you very much.
Big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Mr. Kok. Thank you, sir.